You're listening to the Dragon Between podcast, a 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons campaign set in the Eberron pulp fantasy setting created by Keith Baker. New episodes are recorded every Sunday and released on the following week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel for clips and future episodes. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter for updates and news on the podcast. And now on with the show! When the characters last met, the group had stopped at a shop within 7th Tower in order to procure some items for themselves for the journey ahead. Upon settling into the shop and Eli attempted to gather the needed spells that he was looking for, he was suddenly attacked by a stranger wearing a dark cloak. Eli was then knocked unconscious as the rest of the group sprang into action, attempting to help their friend. The battle ensued, and after a brief flash that was brought on by the proprietor of the establishment, the group were able to defeat this strange individual whose appearance appeared to shift back and forth between that of a balding male and also that of a lithe changeling female. The group were able to knock the individual down and deal the final blow, death blow, onto the changeling, not before the city watch arrived to assess the situation. The group were questioned, and after some hilarity ensued, involving removing the articles of clothing and personal items from the corpse of the changeling, the group were able to leave the establishment and reconnect with their Sky Coach driver. The group then headed down into Lower Tamek's Landing, within the area known as Roan's Gate, which is the large arching gateway, the welcoming center for travelers on foot and by wagon, in and out of the city. The characters obtained horses from House Vidalis that were provided to them by their patron, and then set out onto the long road away from the city of Towers. After some time, and traveling along the long bridge which led to the crossroads, which led northward and eastward, the group set off towards the edge of Brayland to their destination of Trolanport. Along the way, the group got to learn a bit more about each other, and eventually found themselves at the edge of a clearing, the King's Forest, encroaching on the road. Auri then overheard and sensed an animal in danger, hearing its cries carried by the wind, and immediately set off into the thicket, north, away from her companions. The characters then rushed off into the distance, leaving behind Eli and Gunthroll to watch over the horses. Upon entering the thicket within the King's Forest, the characters happened upon 2 deer, one of them which appeared to be injured while the other was prone within the forest. And as Auri attempted to approach the deer and attend to them, a large reptilian creature with wings, a wyvern, swooped down and attacked the group. A battle ensued, and after some time, Auri, Ender, and Lefana were able to fend off and eventually destroy the creature, Auri dealing the death blow. The sounds of battle and the creature's roars from the forest drew Eli and Gunthroll away from their horses into the thicket towards their friends. The 5 companions now stand over the corpse of this large draconic creature, as the sounds of the forest all around them once again.
Well, I think we need to see what's inside this thing, see if it has anything left.
Inside the creature? You mean?
It eats people, or could be things in it.
You're gonna cut its stomach open? Ugh.
I already got my axe on the... Funk.
Oh.
Gunnie,
What can I help?
Gunnie begins to carve into the creature.
This could be a good piece of meat later.
And I will say, for all intents and purposes, your friend Auri is still a bear.
Lithana walks up to Ari and says, she kind of pets it around the head and is like, good job. I know you don't like killing things, but sometimes you got to. Good job.
You're pretty damn good at it.
I mean, you can kill things, but don't brutalize things like that other guy over there. Ugh.
Auri just sort of... Auri has sort of just been patting around, sort of rubbing her currently white fur, which is sort of like matted with just gore. And she's currently rubbing her face all over the forest floor on the grass, like trying to get it off of her, and like rubbing the side of her face or jowls with her paws. Ender is just sort of kneeling with his sword pointed downward, blade sunk into the soft earth a few inches, sort of wiping the blade off of the blood from the wyvern. And he points towards the creature and he says, "It's a big stinger on there."
Yeah, huge.
Hey, well, in bear form, do they like eat meat, or are they, only picky, like, when they're in human?
Auri just sort of cocks her head to the side and looks at you quizzically.
I'll throw a piece of meat from a wyvern.
You throw it to her and she sort of sniffs it for a little bit, and then you just watch as she tries to coyly push the meat underneath some leaves.
A vegan bear.
I know. I've never seen that before.
Do you need any help, Gunny?
Sure. Let's splay this thing open and see what we can see inside, and if there's anything good in there. Want to take out its stomach and see if we can't save that stinger?
Okay. Guthril, as you are reaching into the guts of the creature, you and Lithana are now hearing the sounds of... some are coming from the east, not too far away. Sounds of a disturbance in the bushes. Just to the northeast of where you are.
Gathana, you want to take to the shadows?
Yes, I'll do that. Do I recognize the sound just listening?
I'll tell you what, make an intelligence check.
No.
Or a nature check, if you'd prefer.
It's all the same. Natural one.
It's the wind! It's the wind!
It sounds like there's something moving through the bushes.
I do have, let's see.
And as you're looking, Lithana, you and Gunthral both hear the very familiar sound of a bowstring being drawn back. And an arrow sinks in the ground a few inches away from your foot. And you hear a voice calling across now from the woods, from the direction of the bushes and the tree cover. You hear this voice say, "That was a warning shot. I'd like you if you'd step away from our kill, please." And suddenly 2 women burst forth from the bushes. One of them is wearing leathers, some sort of a traveling cloak which is pinned, and she's also got a longbow, which she has resting at her side with an arrow knocked in it, which she has just pulled from her quiver. And another female runs from behind her very fast, and she's holding a staff in her hand, and she's wearing a long, sort of a magenta-colored robe, which is covering sort of a very simple leather corset. Both of the women have sort of a mottled, almost olive colored skin, and with black hair. The one that is holding the longbow has streaks of blonde in the black, and the hair is sort of pulled back into a neat row of a mohawk. And she has the side of her head on both sides are shaved away from the mohawk. And she's not holding the bow at any of you, but she is starting to get closer.
Pull out my Everflame torch. It lights up 60 feet, 30 feet bright, and another 30.
Okay. It's definitely starting to get a little darker now. It's getting closer to 7 now, so the sun is hanging low in the sky. The forest around you is starting to get dark, so you can see now these individuals, which their eyes sort of like catch the light of your torch as you light up for a moment, and both of them sort of turn their heads to the side as you do, and then look back at you like the one behind says, "My, that is a very bright torch you have there."
Yes, isn't it?
The taller woman now says, "Shh! Quiet, Lana. What are you doing with our kill?"
Your kill. We killed it first.
And the woman now takes the arrow out from the bow and puts it back into her quiver, and she gestures towards the corpse of the wyvern and says, "May I?"
No. This is ours.
"Now, you blasted dingbat, I want to show you something."
Alright. Show us.
And the woman now strides forth towards the wyvern, and she looks at the body, very quickly zeroes in on the back left leg, and she points to a section of the leg where you can see a shaft of an arrow sticking out. And she reaches really fast, grabs the broken shaft, pulls it out, and then pulls one of her arrows out and compares the arrowheads to them, and they're identical. It's sort of like this steel that appears to have been treated. It's almost like an ebony-colored arrowhead. "You see, these are my arrows. I was chasing the blasted thing for a bloody hour, and you fools just happened to come across it. What are you doing out here to begin with?"
We're traveling, and we heard a sound and found it. We'll make a deal. We shared the.
And
Deal or no?
the woman, who is much taller than you, strides up to you, Lathana, and looks you square in the eye, and sniffs. "I'll tell you what. We'll let you butcher the thing, but we want the stinger." "You can take whatever you want from the corpse. You can even have the skin, but we want the stinger. Do we have a deal?"
That's the most expensive part of the animal.
"And how would you know that, small fry?"
I'm
The
a bookworm.
The other woman now, who has sort of a mousy blonde, it's almost like a strawberry blonde hair, is she sort of like has been behind the taller woman, and she creeps around and says, "Maybe we could make another deal if you're agreeable. My sister and I have been tracking some ankheg in the forest, and before we stumbled upon the wyvern, we discovered where the ankheg hive is. If you wish to accompany us there and assist us in acquiring some of the eggs or larvae, we'd be happy to pay you for your services.
And Lathana looks towards Gunnie and the rest of the team. You guys, we're kind of on a tight timeline. We're already late. We need to chase this guy down.
And when you say that, the taller woman perks up and says, "You're chasing someone? Are you bounty hunters?"
Not exactly.
Not exactly. Well, what would you call it then if you're chasing after someone? Are you lawmen? Lawwoman? She laughs as she looks in your direction and looks back towards... "I'll tell you what, we'll take the bear if that's better, more agreeable." And she starts to walk towards Auri with her bow drawn. "Lirana, get my manacles, will you?" And as she begins to walk towards the Auri now runs behind Ender, and Ender pulls out his katana and says, "Your heads will hit the floor before you draw your bowstring." And he is now angled out with his left arm, holding his katana straight in towards the woman with the mohawk. And the woman sort of smiles and snarls and says, "I like this one. You're traveling with an orc. Fine, we won't molest the bear. We only want the wyvern. Fine. If you're not interested in assisting us when my sister mentioned, that's perfectly fine. You can go about your business. Where did you say you all hail from again?"
Many places.
"Oh, I can tell that, love. We're both from Karnath. It's a lovely place, full of terrible things. Have you ever been there?"
No.
Oh, you don't know what you're missing out on.
How about this? We split the stinger.
That is out of the question. We saw it first. My arrow is proof that we saw it first. Now,
You obviously didn't finish it. We finished it.
semantics, little one. I'll tell you what. I'll make a deal with you. You can keep the whole kill if you like. And because it's getting so late, I'm definitely not going into the forest looking for Ankeg at this time of night. Why don't you accompany us in the morning, and we'll pay you 800 gold apiece. How does that sound?
Eli looks over at Gunnie and smiles. "Oh, what's the plan, Gunnie?"
Keep in mind, I'm basically buying this kill and letting you keep it.
Oh, you can have the stinger, right?
For 800 gold apiece? You want that stinger? You can have it.
Under the condition that you help us find the Ankeg hive and deal with that. Is that agreeable to you?
Or you could just pay us, and we'll give you the stinger and the rest.
Well, that's all fine and good. But I'm not giving you anything. It's up to Lirana. And the woman now turns and looks at the shorter woman with the mousy strawberry blonde hair. And she now walks up to you and says, "Well, if you'll not help us, that's fine. We won't trouble you anymore. You can keep the kill. We'll go on our separate ways if that's what you wish. We were just about to strike up a camp for the evening, and if you wish, we can all make camp together, and we'll assist you in keeping watch over the night. The forest can be quite dangerous if you plan on camping here tonight.
Oh, you probably could use the five of us helping you, so I don't have a problem with that. What do you guys? We'll pick up your trail in the morning.
We want to help her?
No, we can spend the night and then leave in the morning.
Okay.
Sure,
It's a good idea with strangers.
The big woman there looks like she can handle herself.
That's what I'm afraid of. At night, we all sleeping? What if they try to rob us?
We can both keep watch. I'm fine with this.
Lorana now speaks up. I can't help but overhear your suspicions, and obviously seeing strangers come out of the woods at this time of day, evening, if you will, can be a bit off-putting. I can assure you that we have no ill will towards you. My name is Lorana Levar, and this is my sister, Kasha Levar. And the taller woman now sort of looks at all of you, and she walks up towards you, Athana, with her hand outstretched, open palm laying flat, and says, "No hard feelings?"
No hard feelings. Just no funny business.
Funny business. Outlanders are all the same. And she continues to hold her hand out for you to take it.
I put a fish in it. Here,
She
try that. I think it's still good.
she looks at the fish and she sniffs it. And then she tosses it over her shoulder towards Lorana and says, "Oh, look at that dinner. This one smells like it still might be okay. Why don't you make my dinner for me, Lorana? I'll set to getting the camp set up. You folk might want to tend to your kill now before the other little critters come out of the forest and decide to start feasting on it. It's bound to attract some more dangerous creatures in the night who will definitely want to keep our wits about us."
Well, if you want to harvest the stinger, go ahead.
I thought you were keeping the stinger, but if you insist. And she begins walking up towards the wyvern's corpse and reaches down and grabs the end of the tail. And you watch as she takes out a large hooked blade, and she begins making very deft cuts at the end. And you hear this definite sound of a crunching noise as she grabs the end of it and twists and pulls the entire thing off. And it's about as long as her forearm. And she starts inspecting it. There's sort of this loud crunching noise of the vertebrae breaking.
I was trying to watch intently what she was doing.
Well, you can make an investigation check if you like to see how well you were able to see exactly what she was doing. It appears to you as she made 3 very deft cuts. 2 on the side where the end of the tail meets the vertebrae, and another underneath to sever any musculature or tendons within the body before she pulled it out. And she says, "Oh, this one's got a very full sack as well." And she turns it around and sort of thrusts it in each of your faces. "Oh, look at this!" And you can see now they're with the flesh peeled back from where the tail, end of the tail, was attached to the stinger. you see now these dangling, pulsating sacks that are hanging. And she takes her little knife and she starts cutting them off. And cutting the sacks off. And she looks at one of them and she looks to you, Gunthral, and she says, "Here you go!" And she tosses it in your direction.
I'll try to catch it.
Okay. I would say you're close enough to her. It'd be pretty easy to grab it out of the air.
Okay. Alright. Thank you.
Might want to wash your hands off after handling that.
Oh, yeah. I'm going to give it over to Lathana. You may know how to use this a little bit better than me.
Maybe.
And I'll squirt some water off from my jug. How big is Kasha anyway?
Kasha is about 6'6". So she's shorter than you, but she towers over your companions.
Yeah, but her sister, are they like sisters, or is she just saying that she's a sister?
Well, they look, just giving them a cursory glance, they do look similar in terms of, like, they appear to be both olive-skinned humans. And they do have very similar features. Their features are sort of like, they have like angular cheekbones, like the way that their cheekbones are sort of like a bit pointy. Like not like they're emaciated and thin, but like they just have like very strong musculature in their jaws, both of them. Lorana appears to be just like seems like almost like a miniaturized version of Kasha. And Lorana has these sideburns that come down this and become sort of like wispy, long, little tufts that come off of the side of her face, and they almost cover her ears. Now, I should say at this point that the deer that were there within the clearing, once the wyvern attacked, the one that was injured, but checking on the other one, it scampered off into the thicket. No sight of that one. The other deer appears to be still laying on the ground, unmoving.
I'm going to check out the area over here. And then,
Okay.
We'll follow. Well, I'm gonna go back, get the horses, and go to wherever they're.
Hey, Gunnie, did you finish checking the stomach?
The chest is open. Just slide a knife through that gullet there and see what pops.
I'm good. I don't do this kind of things. That's why we have you, right? Yeah.
Oh, yes. Forgot.
So Lathana goes and sits near where their Hannah and Kasha are. And she takes out her book of jokes.
Oh, that should be good.
So, I'm sorry, I am kind of a bounty hunter, and so I'm not very trusting. But, here's one for the team.
So, my question to you is, you are all essentially setting up camp here, is that correct?
Well, they said they set up camp nearby, so.
They were planning on setting it up right here.
Well, next to the kill? That makes no sense.
Well, their plan was to set it up and butcher it.
Oh, okay. I'll try to get Kasha to help me tie it up and string it up to a tree and try to.
Kasha will, with her very very thick muscles, thick biceps. She has taken off her traveling cloak, and she walks up to you, and she sort of taps you a couple times on the side of your shoulder and says, "Let's go, big man." And she goes and she grabs the end of the wyvern. "Well, mind the wings, will you? And somebody get a fire going."
Does her muscles look bigger than
bigger than average? This woman is stout for her size.
All right, well, we'll tie it up and try to string it up there and skin it and cook some of the meat on the big.
Okay. And Lorana now looks around the rest of your companions and says, if you didn't want to stay here, was there somewhere else nearby that you wanted to go? Perhaps closer to the road if you wanted to make camp. It will attract attention of people traveling on the road at night. But the fire should keep away any possible creatures that live within the forest.
Well, you make a big fire and try to cook the insides of the wyvern and dry out the skin or something.
And Lorana now looks to each of you, just kind of sort of looking as if looking for permission. And she then produces a length of wood from her cloak, and she sort of swirls it in an S pattern, and then angles it towards the ground in a nice clear area. And as she does, some of the rocks that are near you, Gunthral, from the rock pile start rolling across the ground and making a stone circle on the ground. And then she looks to Eli and she says, "You like an adept, are you not?"
An adept.
An adept, and a practitioner of the arts.
Just a little.
Just a little. Well, would you do me the honor of producing some flame? And as she's been saying that, she's been pulling some of the dry twigs and bits around from. She's been collecting bits from around the circumference of the area that you're within. She's been putting dry tinder within the stone, and she says, "We'll need some more wood, I think." And as she says that, Ender now is standing there at attention with his arms full of wood, full of twigs and branches. He's been almost as if he knew this is exactly what you wanted at this time. He now is presenting them to you and to Lorana. "Well, that's wonderful, thank you." And she begins taking the branches and is now sort of making sort of a steeple with the branches and putting the dry tinder within. And she now looks to you, Eli, and says, "Would you do the honors?"
Well, yes, I'll try, and I want to firebolt the inside.
Okay. Go ahead and roll your firebolt attack.
Fireball.
23. Yeah, how much fire do you want?
There is a massive roar, and I will increase the size of it as this very large bonfire is struck up.
I look at Gunnie and go, does it just can you just read it without just looking at me? That's how it is? I just look like a mage or something?
Yeah, you're skinny and have no muscle, so you gotta be like a spellcaster or something. But you dress fancy.
Guess it gives that away, right? But hey, Gunnie, check her out. Kind of your style, huh?
Well, I don't know if Ender will be upset. I don't know.
It's I heard it first come first serve. You know what I mean?
Don't be rude. So, Kasha, what's going on with you and Lorhana? Is she your sister, or
She's my youngest sister. She's been following me around for quite some time as I've been traveling around Corvair and attending the business for the Karnathi government.
what type of business?
Oh, this and that. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Meeting delegates from other nations. Occasionally we have to handle a dispute or two on the outer fringes of the land of Karnath. But I've been on sort of a vacation, if you will, over the last few months. My sister and I have just been sort of traveling around Corvair and just seeing the sights, seeing what all there is to be seen within Corvair.
Oh, okay. I kind
And
of
Lorana, this is her first time out of Karnath.
Lithana walks up to Gundrol and whispers in his ear, "Hey, she seems to like you. Ask him if she's seen the guy coming through this."
Okay. Yeah, I'll be coy about it. Yeah, Kasha, kind of like that. Scratch your back, I scratch your back. You scratch mine.
Are you referring to Quiddus?
Who?
Oh, a little bit too big of words. Sex, Gunnie.
And as you say that, Eli, as you turn to look around, Auri has no longer in her bear form. She has reduced down in size to her normal size, and she is currently sitting next to Ender, sort of eyeballing these two newcomers, silently watching.
Lithana starts awkwardly scratching Gunny's back.
Who's scratching my back?
Lithana.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Lord effect.
Oh, Eli kind of like, ugh. I'm gonna cast, Layman's Tiny Hut.
So, Kasha, how long you been out in the wood?
How big is Layman's tiny hut there, sir?
Oh, ooh, yeah. Move her out of there.
Would you like to describe it?
Yes, it's a giant. It's like a dark greenish bubble that goes completely around him. You can't see through it.
Okay.
You don't know what's inside.
So, Gunthral, as you're getting to know Kasha, you just happen to glance across the campfire and see as this bubble appears, and Eli just sort of shifts into it and is gone.
Oh, thank goodness. So, Kasha, how long you been in this woods in this area around?
Well, Lorana and I have been traveling through Braylon now for what has it been? A couple of weeks? Yes, it's been a couple of weeks. We're mostly stuck to the forests. We visited a couple of towns in the area, but I've been attempting to get my hands on some ankeg larvae and eggs for quite some time now, and got a tip, if you will, that there were potentially some hives here within the edge of the forest, close to Sharn.
Gotta bring good coin, or?
Well, I know a guy back in Karnath who would be interested in them.
I see. Well, we're like tracking this guy that did a wrongdoing to a few of our friends, so I was wondering, did you see anyone that looked like this scrawny little... I describe him.
You describe him, what he looks like?
Yes.
Kasha just sort of looks at you and puts her hand up to her chin, and takes the other hand and sort of like grabbing each of the spiky points of her mohawk, and just sort of very softly like stroking each one. Sounds familiar. Of course, throw a rock in any direction in this area and you're bound to bounce off of some pointy-eared elf of some sort. Foppish, pointy-eared elf. Where did you say this one was from?
I'll tell her where we came from.
Came from... So you tell her you came from Sharn?
Yeah.
Okay. What did you say this one is called again? What's his name?
Athana.
Oh, that's right. Your official group note taker's not here tonight.
It's been a while.
Would you like a hint?
Yes.
His name is Elric. Elric. Fate Weaver.
His name is Elric Fate Weaver.
And Kasha just continues to stroke her chin, and as you say his name, her brow furrows slightly. And she starts to scan around and look at all of you, and then look back towards Lorana. Lorana? Does that sound familiar to you? And Lorana just sort of timidly goes, I don't know. You said Elric? No, I'm sorry. Doesn't sound familiar. Well, I can't say that we've seen anyone that fits that description as we've been on the road. Where were they headed, do you know?
I point that direction.
You point in the direction of the woods, like east.
Yeah.
Well, that's
that way.
incredibly helpful, Gunthro. Big G-man.
Yeah.
They have a destination in mind?
Sorry, Mr. DM. We forgot everything. It's been like a month.
It's okay. If you need me to remind you, I will remind you of certain points.
Too bad Ender's not here with his pathetic memory.
Well, Eli has the ability to recall anything that he's heard or seen or written, if I'm not mistaken. But he's currently in a strange bubble by himself.
Yeah, I know. He's gonna miss out on dinner. We got fish. We got bird.
Yeah, Lorana has been pulling out some sticks, some very sturdy but thin, long branches that she has like shaved off into fine points on one end, and she's currently skewering bits of chunks of the wyvern meat and fish and making kebabs, and she's resting them on over the fire. She's made a steeple with some bigger logs.
Oh, I'm gonna try to do the same thing, or close to it. used to the woods that much. Being on the ground doesn't seem to be that good for me. But I'm a learner. You know, with a strong woman, you know, like you, I could probably learn more.
And Kasha just sort of looks at you, and he says, she says, that's interesting. I haven't shagged a Goliath before. And Lorana goes, Kasha! And Lorana's somewhat timid and very soft-spoken demeanor suddenly breaks. Her voice almost breaks as she yells her sister's name. And she immediately holds her hand up to her mouth and her eyes go wide. Oh! And she's looking directly at you, Lithana. You must, I must apologize for my sister. She can be a bit direct.
I've heard much worse.
Kasha says, so, on this grand journey, chasing after a man, do you always chase after men, Gunthral?
I chase whatever interests me at the time.
It's very interesting. Have you been a bounty hunter long?
Why, yes. About it'll be 2 days after, you know, dawn comes.
That's just precious. So, needless to say, that this is a new experience for you. Well, I'm all about new experiences. Lorana can tell you. Being from Karnath, we don't get to experience much of the outside world. We're a very private people. Whenever I get a chance to go out into the world and see things, see new things, experience new things, I jump at the chance whenever I can.
You're spontaneous. I like it.
Oh, of course. And she looks at you, Gunthral, and, well, I don't know about you, but I am exhausted. I'm gonna
go in his bubble over there and lay down there. It might be a little tight, but you know we can always snuggle close.
Well, that sounds like interesting. What's in that bubble? Your little friend disappeared. He hasn't been out here for a while now.
It's like this weird tent inside, you know. That, you know, animals don't go in, so you know it's kind of safe. You know, bugs won't get us, and animals won't get us. And
Kasha now stands up and reaches over and kisses Gunthral full on the mouth, long and hard. Grabs the back of your neck and pulls you in. And she's strong, like stronger than you were expecting.
Well,
and she kind of
spikes on her head.
She kind of bites the corner of your lip a little bit, and you can feel blood trickling down the corner of your mouth. And she is back, breaks away from you. Oh, we go check out this magical tent your friend has. And she gets up. Your Honor, we're gonna take second watch if that's agreeable for the rest of these folk. Me and Big Man have got some business. And she immediately grabs your hand and starts striding towards the tent. And walks in with Gunthral, if he allows her to, guide her.
I look at Lithana and like shrug. Go. Oh yeah, yeah.
Lithana pulls out some popcorn.
Kasha disappears through the this bubble with Gunthral following shortly behind. A few seconds go by, and then Eli is promptly thrown out of the bubble and nearly lands into the bonfire.
Well, I didn't mind if he was there.
You know, technically I can't leave it or the bubble goes away.
All right.
I can't. It says that
as soon as you were thrown out of the bubble collapses, and Gunthral is currently being Whoops. Gunthrel is currently having his armor stripped off, laying on the ground on the soft grass, with this wild woman going at him. Much to the chagrin of the surrounding folk around.
I'll act the same way that she does, and I ignore everybody.
These two begin absolutely mauling each other in front of all of you.
Well, in the bubble, when the bubble left, there's a giant queen-size fold-up bed.
Yeah, that's all
next to
gone.
a dresser.
That's all gone.
Okay, that goes. Oh, that all goes in the bubble.
Yeah, that collapsed.
Okay. Eli's like in his pajamas because he was getting ready for bed. Kind of like, oh, how dare you!
Lorana now casts Minor Illusion, and as she does, suddenly a tent appears above them, a very large tent. And she says, "That'll be enough of that."
Oh, we're still making lots of noises.
Oh yeah, it's obnoxious.
Let's
I
see.
can't believe it. Get me out of my bubble. I can't make another one.
Auri is currently beet red. Ender is holding her hand, and he is with the other hand. He's just sort of resting his face on his hand, shaking his head.
Lithana keeps messing with the gold chain on her and just eating popcorn.
I want to know where she keeps getting all this food. First she had power tacos, and now she has popcorn. There's something about her that it just seems a little off. I think she's a dark wizard, everyone.
The spell
ends. Oh, no, okay.
Yeah, it says the spell ends if you leave its area.
We didn't notice.
I can't cast it again. Eli's pissed.
So, Eli, sorry about your tiny...
I blame it on Asana. She's the one who told me to be friendly with her,
I'm just imagining Gunthrel is sticking his head out of the tent and having this conversation with you every time he pipes up. And then Kasha just reaches out and grabs his face and pulls him back inside.
I never slept on the ground before. I'm gonna read my book.
Lorana, she stands up and she comes over to Eli and she offers a couple of the kebabs, which smell delicious, by the way. And you can feel your stomach start to like burble and growl a little bit as the smell of the cooked meat hits your nostrils.
I'll grab one and just eat it angrily.
It is delicious.
Oh, about 10-15 minutes into all this, I'll be sticking my head out. Oh, don't forget about the horses. And I go back.
She grabs your head again and pulls you back into the tent.
Hey, Eli, you wanna go get the horses with me?
No. I
Lorana
have to sleep on the ground tonight.
Lorana says, I'll go.
Sure, it beats listening to this.
Ender and Auri just sort of like move off to not too far away from the campfire, but move off a ways. And Ender stands up for a moment and says, "Do you want me to go?"
I mean, that would be nice.
And he turns and looks at Auri and says, "I'll be back." And the three of you now begin heading off southwest, back towards where you had your horses tied off. doesn't take you too long. And once you get out there, you can now see, you can hear the sound of the night air, the creatures of the night making noise. You don't really see anything. The moon is beginning to rise off in the distance, and there's just sort of like a hazy, sort of a hazy bit of clouds, wispy clouds now that are covering the moon a little bit. So it's still pretty dark out there as you're heading through. And Lorana looks to all of you and she says, does anyone need some light? And she looks like she's fumbling now in her pack for like something.
You know her illusion will last 1 minute.
Oh, I know. That's why it's funny. That's why she walked away. No, I'm just kidding. So
I was looking to see if she walked out of range, it went away or not, and then it says, "Oh, it'll last a minute." I'm like, "Oh."
Yeah, it only lasts a minute. It's the longest minute of your life, Gunthrel. So during this time, Auri has she has begun to create a barrier, if you will, of vegetation between the campfire and between where you two are, so that when that went away, there's something to at least screen the rest of the group from you two. And after a while, the group, you find your mage bred horses are tied off exactly where you left them. They respond to you, both you and Ender, immediately, Lithana. And Lorana, she says, "Oh, these are beautiful. These are wonderful. Where did you get them?"
It's a part of the job.
"Oh, I can see that." And she now approaches one of them, and as she does, she holds a hand up towards one of them, and the horse sort of snorts, and then immediately, like, jerks its head back, makes a loud, like, whinnying noise, like it was recoiling from her touch. And she just sort of coos and she's, "Oh, gentle, gentle. It's all right, it's all right." And she begins to lay a hand on the end of its nose and starts to very, very softly pat the end of its nose. "Have you named it yet? How long have you had them? I can see that these are House Fidelis mounts." And she points to where the crest of House Fidelis is actually embossed in several places, and on the side of the bridle you can actually see, on either side of the horse's cheekbones, you can see where the bridle is. There's a little crest of House Fidelis on it.
No. Well, did we name our horses?
I don't think you guys have had enough time yet to name them.
No, not really. And she starts leading the horses back to the camp.
Yeah, I named my horse.
You named your horse?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Do you say that as you're, in the middle of, "Oh, by the way, I named my horse"?
Yeah, stick my head out. I did name. Oh, excuse me. Hold on, I'll be back.
You hear Gunthrel cry out as something has happened. I won't say what. I will whisper to you, Gunthrel.
And she makes her way back to the camp with the rest of the group. Sits down, eats a cup.
And as you find places to hitch your horses, close to the fire but not too close, and Lorana looks at all of you and says, "So, my sister mentioned that we would take second watch if you wanted to go ahead and set that up. Whoever wants to take first watch now.
I'll take first watch.
No. Don't worry about it. Wait, are you an elf? Is he an elf? Are you an elf?
Who, Eli?
Yeah.
Why do you ask?
No, like, she would probably know this, right?
Half elf.
It's
Oh.
be pretty obvious. The not too pointy, but clearly elven features of Eli, and he has mentioned House Larandar, which you would know is an elven house.
Jeremy, do half elves take 4 hours, or do they have to sleep 8 hours?
Well, that would be on your character sheet, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I was looking.
Let's look. The Fey ancestry.
Oh no, that's just and it doesn't say. So I mean,
Yeah.
I might have to sleep the full 8 hours.
Yeah, it looks like you need the full 8, sir.
Yep.
So it looks like Eli's not doing any watch tonight.
Nope.
It's fine. I can take the first one.
Lorana says, "Well, I'm sure that any of your companions here would be, of course." And she gestures to you, Eli. I'm sure that any of you would be more than happy to allow Kasha, after she's finished, of course, to assist with the second watch.
Sure, that's fine.
Y'all don't want to know what I'm writing right now and what I'm reading. It's a good
I don't know how
thing.
the whisper is talking giant.
It's a good thing nobody else in the group can understand giant.
As she's sitting by the campfire, this is really random, but have you ever forgotten something that you're sure you used to remember? Something important.
Are you referring to memory manipulation?
I don't know.
That's what it sounds like.
Maybe.
I can honestly say I've forgotten more things that I've learned over the years from childhood. There's many things I don't remember from my childhood growing up in Karnath. But I can honestly say that I've never forgotten anything major. It does sound to me like what you're describing is some sort of a manipulation.
Yes, I suppose so. And she messes with the gold chain around her neck and unclasps it and puts it in her hand and studies.
And Lorana at this point now, she looks at you, and she looks like she wants to say something, but instead she gestures with her hand, and she puts up 4 balls of light, just sort of poof into existence above your head. And they shift and glow in iridescent colors, and just sort of dance over you.
Oh, thank you.
There's no problem at all. You look like you needed some cheering up. I'm sorry that I don't have any other answers for you.
Oh, no. But I need to find the ones that do. Which kind of looks up at the star.
And Lorana says, well, hey, I know a little bit about a lot of things, but perhaps in your travels you and your friends will encounter the answers you seek.
Maybe. That's always the goal.
And Lorana now staring into the fire, sort of like a smile on her face. She looks across. Now Kasha is now stood up and is wandering out, buckling her belt on her outfit, smoothing it out. Her mohawk is like all like crazy, like sticking out in multiple directions now, and she's very quickly like licking her hand and like smoothing it out back into fine points. And she looks to the group and she says, "Don't worry, I left him alive." And she wanders over to Lorana and sits down. And left you alone on the other side of that little wall of vegetation, Gunthral.
I'm just grabbing my gear and dragging it over to the side with me.
Okay.
I have my shorts on or whatnot, but I just come over and sit all sweaty and gooey, a little bloody.
Yeah, Gunthral has several scratches on his body now. Some on his chest. He's got a couple on the side of his neck.
And I'll start mending my clothes and armor and start putting...
Kosh sits down and says, "Well, that was something. Did we all figure out who's taking first watch yet?"
That'll be me.
You? All by yourself?
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Doesn't seem...
Get some rest. You probably need it.
Doesn't seem wise. As many folk as there are here, Kasha, excuse me, Lorana and I are definitely going to take our watch together.
Oh, why don't you and I take a watch together, and Lorana and Lahana do it?
And Kasha looks to you and says, "I tell you what. We'll take fourth watch, you and I. I'll wake you up."
Well, you sure it's going to be a watch, or...
There's plenty of time for that. And she sort of giggles. Of course, to you, it sounds like a giggle. To the rest of the group, it sounds like nails on a chalkboard. It's very rough, gruff voice.
I'll start eating the food and start relaxing, and I'll lay down.
Okay. So, Lathana, you want to take a watch by yourself, is that correct?
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay. So, you're taking a watch by yourself. Everyone else is laying down and going to sleep, is that correct? Kasha and Lorana are going to take the second watch. Who wants to take the third watch? I'll go ahead and say Ender and Auri can take third watch if you guys want.
Okay.
And then fourth watch can be Gunthral and Kasha. Does that sound agreeable?
Yeah, Eli's already asleep. He had a book in his hand. He's all curled up in a ball. He was reading. He fell asleep. By the fire, all pissed off still.
I'm going to see if I can't slide a little rock underneath his back. Just reminding him how rough it is to sleep on the ground.
Okay. And let's see, Lathana, why don't you go ahead and make a perception check for me?
Okay. That's 22.
Okay. The sounds of your companions snoring around you. It looked like Lorana stayed up for as long as she could possibly stay up within the first hour of your watch. And then eventually she succumbed and went to sleep. You just hear the calming noises of the forest around you, the sounds of the critters and creatures. Every now and then you hear what sounds to you like a hooting noise, like possibly of an owl or some sort of other bird, creature of the night. But your 2-hour watch goes on, the group completely unmolested. And
Alright.
Kasha and Lorana now almost stir like clockwork the moment the 2 hours are up. The two of them are up, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and looking to you. And Lorana comes up to you, Lithana, and lays a hand on your shoulder, and she says, "They'll be all right. You go ahead and rest now."
Then Lithana sits down and does her 4 hours of meditation.
Okay. I will go ahead and mark you guys as taking a long rest. So you'll get all of your spell slots back to full.
And I'm snoring quite loudly.
Several hours go on. No one wakes you, Gunthral. Ender and Auri, they are not woken. The fire is out. The ember's cold. Whichever one of you wakes up first, notice the sisters are gone.
Well, that was good for me. What about you guys? What happened? Okay, I could go over and kick Eli up. You missed your watch. What happened?
I didn't have a watch. You have a watch with you? I lost mine.
Rich people. Hey, Lithana, what happened?
What? Huh?
Hey, snap out of it.
What? Weren't you on fourth one?
Time to wake up. Hey, the two poachers. They took.
Oh, did they take anything?
Look around. Did they look like they take anything?
Make a perception check.
Oh, I know
Can I
my
hear
own
it?
gear.
Your horses are there. Looking around, all of your gear appears to be where you left it the last you saw it before you went to sleep. There are what appears to be some packages that have been neatly folded in some large leaves. They're square, about 4 inch by 4 inch. And when you inspect them, they appear to be some sort of leftover kebabs from the previous night.
Guess I had to head out early in the morning. Yeah,
No
just
stinger?
breakfast.
Oh yeah, that thing is gone. The wyvern's corpse is completely stripped. All that's left is the bones and the wings. Like, a great bit of meat is gone. The stinger's gone.
Well, at least you got the partial of the stinger.
I guess that's payment for the night's entertainment. Eh?
Well,
Because Gunny always has to pay for it.
what am I paying for?
Nothing. The wyvern.
We got meat. We got breakfast.
Gunny,
Good conversation.
Gunnie, make
Yes.
a Constitution saving throw.
I choose to fail.
You choose to fail. Okay. Good to know. You feel sore. You're feeling, you choose to fail, or do you want to take that roll?
No, I choose to fail.
Okay. You're feeling a little flushed from last night, like sleeping out under the cool air. Last night's activity, you're sore in places that you're not used to being sore in.
Good. She's gonna be sore too.
Okay. Owry and Ender, they wake up, they look around, Ender's like, oh, where'd the two go?
Looks like they took off.
They didn't
They
steal
won't stick
anything,
around.
did they?
No, we checked our stuff. Did you check yours?
And
Make sure.
Ender's eyes immediately go wide, and he reaches over instinctively and reaches for his sword, and it's there. It's right next to him. And just sort of a sigh of relief, like, oh, that was scary. Turns and looks at Owry, and Owry just looks like she's arching up, arms out in a Y shape, doing a big old stretch and big breathe sigh of breathy air, and she says, oh, that is wonderful. Oh, our new companions seem to be gone.
Yes, they took off. They had enough of Gunnie.
Lathana, wrapped in your little bundle that was left next to your bedroll, you find what appears to be a crudely drawn map on a bit of animal hide. And it appears to be a map of the area, and specifically a little bit of a mapping of the King's Forest of this area. And it appears to be that just to the northeast a ways, marked on the map, you see an X. And written in common, it says, the answers that you seek may not be here, but you might find something of interest. And then it just a big L and sort of a very swoopy script.
Interesting.
I'm gonna cast Prestidigitation on myself.
Okay.
Feel much better.
And if Eli's got a tear in his clothing that he can't see, I leave it there. Just,
Okay.
just so I can feel better saying, because I'm always looking at it's not going to be like a major tear, but something like really small, like a little scratch or something. I'll be like, oh, God.
Well, it would be
Well,
what would be funny is... Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say every morning he does mending and prestidigitation.
Well, see, take it-
Joke's on you.
Well, I
What
thought,
were you saying, Jeremy?
I was gonna say, I'm looking at the chat and I'm like, it'd be funny if we actually had a following and someone actually translated what you wrote in the chat. Mark.
That would be pretty funny.
Wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, y'all want to know. All right,
Well,
so
they'll see it on the podcast because you see the typing.
yeah, but you only see it in giant.
No, not all. Oh, you only see it in giant because I see both.
Yeah, you see it in your version. You see it because you can understand. But when you look in the chat, what I'm currently recording, you only see the symbols.
Mm.
Oh, okay.
So it's funny. It's like a little Easter egg. You know, if you actually listened and you wanted to take the time to, you know, fix it. All right, so it's the next morning. You guys gather up your horses, you gather your things, and you set back off to the south towards the road. About what time did you want to set back on the road? That's right. You all woke up and discovered the sisters had left in the night. Approximately 6 a.m.
Probably want to leave quick, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, once we check all our gear and make sure we got everything, just mount up and leave. We can eat the cold meat from last night.
Okay.
Tommy, you want to take the lead and see if we can't pick up that guy's trail?
Well, you know the destination. You know it's Trolanport. So for you guys and your horses, it's just a matter of setting back out on the main road towards the Brayland and Zalargo border.
Are these horses faster than a normal horse?
The mage bred horses, they're hardier than your standard horse. So you could push them if you wanted to. But just like any other horse, you know, if you decided to go at a much faster rate, you would need to eventually, if you just kept pushing them, you'd have to replace them.
Well, you can ride them for a period of time and, you know, push them or ride them hard and then just do a trot.
Because normally they can carry you up to 50 miles a day. That's at their standard pace.
How far is Trolanport?
Trolanport, from Sharn to Trolanport, it's about 16 days of normal travel to get there.
And how long ago did this guy leave us?
You're not sure. All you know is that the gentleman from the Dark Lanterns, Vior, he told you that a coach had been seen leaving Roan's Gate many hours before he spoke to you all. And if you want, I can share an overland map so you guys can get a feel of where you guys are right now.
For coaches, are there normal stops for coaches along the...
What's that?
Is there like a way station or a horse changing station for the coaches?
As far as you know, as far as Gunthor would know, there's no stops between Sharn and Zilspar. Zilspar would be the first settlements that you would find along the road. And here I will share a map with you guys so you can get an idea for where you guys currently are on your journey.
Yeah, it's around 800 miles. It takes 16 days, 50 miles a day. A long ways.
Let me just create a little... You are here. Let's see.
Well, Thana, how hard would it be to push the horses an extra 4 hours a day on? Would the horses be able to survive, or?
Well, based on my knowledge, do I know?
Make an intelligence check.
Alright.
Or would it be nature?
I'll go ahead and say it's a nature check, but it would be more of a... It's less nature and more of an intelligence of whether or not she can remember.
Nope.
So, as with any creature, so to speak, Luthana, you're fairly certain that... Here, I'm going to share this map with you guys. There you go.
So we have a vegan bear and a urban ranger. Interesting party.
Yeah.
Maybe Ari knows. I mean, she is like Mother Nature.
Sorry, I guess I didn't finish my thought. So you would know, Lathana, that as with any living creature, if you push them, force them to exert themselves for long periods of time, that they will eventually die of exhaustion. As with any other creature, they will gain exhaustion levels and they will die. So, like, for example, if you decide to run your horses 24/7, you would cover a great deal of distance, but your animals would eventually collapse dead.
Yeah, but we run them for an extra 2 or 4 hours a day. Would that be that?
They might go through your provisions a little bit faster. That's about it. And you'd cut a little bit of time down.
When we do 4 hours of a hard pace, we should be able to cut 2 to 3 days off our track.
I like your thinking.
Especially towards the end of the day, so the horses can rest after the hard pace.
We can push them in the morning, do a trot, in the afternoon, and then push them another. Do 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours in the evening, let them rest.
And the good thing is, if we continue through this forest, I'm quite familiar with forest. I can navigate pretty well, and we can gather twice as much food as usual because I know where to look. So we should be fine, especially in the forest, especially if we need more provisions, I can find them.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can't push the horses like 2 hours in the morning, and then 2 hours before night, and then let them rest overnight. Feed them well. Use the oats more than the grass.
Sounds good.
All right, I assume that during this time you've all been on the road while you're having this conversation?
Yes.
Okay. Not just sitting around.
We need to move.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll try to push them to a gallop during the morning for a couple hours, and then let them just trot during the day, and then push them again just.
Okay. So you continue on the road a ways, and the first day goes along, no problems whatsoever. You encounter the occasional traveler on the road heading the opposite direction, and your typical niceties, but you don't encounter any resistance. You don't encounter any sort of dangers on the road. And I assume that at some point in time you wanted to bed down for the night and make camp?
Yeah, just off the road, so we can see the road but be, out of sight of
Okay.
passerbys. You guys want to make it cold, a dark night, or you want to make a campfire?
Oh, we don't need a campfire unless you want to eat.
Oh yeah, you got your little tent thingy, so we'll be safe in it. So yeah.
I control the temperature inside.
Are you sharing this time?
Well, I was sharing until I got thrown out. And as Gunnie tries to walk in, it locks him. Actually, he hits the barrier, can't come in. He kind of laughs a little bit and snaps his finger and lets him in.
Auri and Ender have been spending this time talking in private. Auri has been taking out some sort of a sketch pad, and she's been drawing each one of you. She spends some time on the road when she isn't looking around, looking at all the various wildlife in the area that you guys encounter. She's been drawing pictures of each of you. And
During the night, when Ender's asleep, I'm gonna snuggle up to him and use him like a little pillow.
okay.
So
Hold him close to me. We're gonna spoon. I'm gonna have him inside of me, hold him really tight. Oh, I know you like me. You keep teasing me. But you're such a small thing, I break you, but I can hold you tight to me.
So there's a little room on the floor in the tent for everybody else, and then this nice queen-size bed that Eli's sleeping in.
Oh, I'm in it with you there, Barry.
No, no, no.
I pull you in nice and tight. Oh, I spoon you, oh, you little guy. Oh. I know you tease me because you're like me. Don't worry, Ender, the big girl. She's not coming back. Don't worry. Gunnie will protect you.
That is interesting. I'm not used to having company in here. Eli tries to sleep, but the snoring of Gunny's so loud and just It's a long night.
Stop hogging the blankets. Ooh. What kind of soup do you use? You smell pretty good.
It's cologne and
I'm imagining this in my head right now, as you guys are spooning.
I'm rubbing his hair, you know.
This bed isn't big enough for the two of us. I believe you're over there on the mat.
Oh, don't be shy. I know you like me. Don't worry. I'd be good to you. I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm not gonna do nothing. We'll just hold you tight and close, you know.
Eli slowly gets out of the bed as
Oh,
Ender and
you're spooned inside me, and I got you wrapped up like a little doll. If you want to get loose, roll a strength check.
I thought you were snuggling with Ender.
No, you were playing with me at night, so I thought I'd come over and keep you company.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I thought I was just in her corner, like, this is the strangest group I've ever been.
Where's that robot cowboy when I need him? So, the next morning, you all sell. Oh yeah, you're not getting away. Ender is got a thumb in his mouth, and he is sucking on his thumb and snoring. Every so often, you hear the light snores coming from him. So the next morning, you all break camp, set out on your horses, and start the day fresh. Gunthro, make another Constitution saving throw. Okay, good to know. The air is crisp. It's just wonderful out there. The summer months, they've been hot. It was sweltering in the city, horrible. But there's a lovely breeze that blows across the plains. And you just feel invigorated after being on the road for a few days. And as you're traveling along, the road sort of widens in places. And you can see off in the distance, you see a bit of trees and shrubs here and there growing up. What is the group's current marching order?
Hila's in the middle.
Lithana would be in the front, since she knows the forest.
Okay. Where would Gunthral be?
Oh, I'm going to be in the middle. I think it was Lithana, then it was Ender, Eli, Ori, and me. I'm in.
You're taking up the rear?
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. All right, so in that case, Lithana, in the distance, you see a bit of a haze to your left and to your right. Almost like a bit of movement in the distance. Like a kicking up of the tall grass. You could just see wavy tall grass, and as far as the eye can see, to the north and to the south, away from where you're going. You guys are currently heading eastern and sort of curving along the road. You're at a bend in the road it's sort of drifting southeastern, but it levels back out eastern again. And you could just see the grass, which is waving from the wind. But every so often, glancing to your left and to your right, you can see that in some areas off in the fields, you can see where the grass is sort of being tussled a bit. The tops of the tall grass are sort of tussled in areas. And you notice it in a couple of areas to the north and to the south.
Hey, take a look. I see something it's messing up the grass, and I really would.
And your horse now, Lithana, starts to nervously whinny.
I pull out my crossbow. Aye, be ready. There's something.
Does she point to where it is, or can we see anything?
That's up to her.
Can I roll a perception to see if I see anything?
Sure, go right ahead.
Eh. 14.
Gonthor, you are now also seeing a disturbed. The grass off in the distance seems to be disturbed.
This early morning, afternoon.
This current time, it is late morning, close to noon.
Okay,
So it's
just
about 11:30. So you guys are what's that?
So our horses pretty much just finished their sprint.
Correct. So you guys have started to canter them down to their normal trot. And let's see. And suddenly from behind you, Lithana and Eli, you hear sort of a... And you watch as a black feathered bolt, long bolt, crashes in the ground and nearly hits the right front leg of Ender's horse. And the horse immediately rears up and threatens to kick him off. And then you didn't hear this sound of this horn being blown. Sort of a... And from out of the grass, coming at you from the north and the south, you just see these enormous wolf-like creatures with hobgoblins riding on the back, and they are rushing towards all of you. I need you all to roll for initiative, if you haven't already done so.
Alrighty.
Let me read what you said there. Let's see. Okay, I see that. I read that, and I will remember that. We'll get to that later. We'll see.
Okay.
And
I will roll initiative. And can I see a map?
yes, let me share a map with you all. See how fast this thing loads.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
And I will reveal to you guys. There you go.
You're only like 20 feet away?
Yeah, these guys rushed up at you. The edges of the grass is like right up off of the road, several feet, and they came rushing out of the grass at you. The first hobgoblin now is going to pull out his longbow. And he will attempt to fire at you, Gunthral. So you just hear this as his bolt bounces off of your armor. And you hear him call out something, "Oh, Shaspa!" And I will go ahead and say, for all intents and purposes, that the horses on each one of them are on the tracker. You'll see I've named them by your names. So you can maneuver those horses on their initiative. You can also attack with them. So Gunthral, your horse, much faster than any of the other horses, you can now move with that horse on its back. You can maneuver it to go wherever you want on the map.
What is the speed of the horses?
They can move up to 60 feet. So they can haul butt.
I will take the horse to there.
Okay. Are you with them?
Yeah. And I shall cast a spell.
Yes, you guys can act on the horse's initiative. Only reason why I threw them on the tracker is because they can be actively targeted.
I shall cast raises his hands to the sky. He calls forth clouds start to form above, and a lightning will strike down. And I'll put another mark. I have lightning strike right there.
Okay.
And anything within 10 feet of that mark is struck by 3d10.
Alright, you can target those creatures and then roll your damage. I believe they have to roll dexterity, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, I think it's all built into the die roll.
Yeah, when you cast it, it should roll it automatically when you target them. Looks like they both failed. and the hobgoblins are struck by the lightning, and one slips off the side of its warg, and its left leg is still caught in a stirrup on the side as the warg is sort of like the burning hair from it being struck by the lightning, and the other one got blasted clean off of its warg and off into the bushes, into the tall grass.
I shall say, take that.
I like maneuvering your horse like he's rearing up. Yeah, yeah.
And I shall end my turn.
Okay.
I hit move on, but did it move or not?
I can move it. There we go.
Alright, sorry.
No worries. The warg runs up towards you and immediately attempts to attack your horse.
Can I make... never mind. I'm not skilled at horsemanship, damn it, otherwise I could take the hit.
Right? Your horse takes 7 damage as this massive warg opens its jaws and just chomps into the side of your horse. Your horse screeches in pain, and we'll make a, let's see, save. Thankfully it was successful, because otherwise it would have been knocked prone and you would have gone flying off your horse.
I got a good horse.
It's a good horse. One of the very badly burned wargs, the one with the hobgoblin, dead hobgoblin, still caught in one of the stirrups, comes rushing towards you, Lithana. And it's... No, it did not. And attempts to bite your horse. And it manages to hit your horse. And thankfully, your horse was not knocked prone from the force of this creature slamming into it and biting into your horse. You now have this slobbering warg. Half of its face is burnt from the lightning that struck it. And you may act on your horse's turn.
Oh, okay.
From high up in your stirrups, you're staring down at this warg. This massive jaws now are opening and shutting in your face.
Well, my horse is going to try to kick it.
Okay. You can also use your attacks as well, if you would prefer.
Oh, I can attack it?
Yes.
Oh, even better. I hiss at it. And I'm going to... I can make my foot attack.
Yes, what this means is on your horse's turn, you can choose to act on your horse's turn. What that means is when you come up in the tracker, you basically forfeit that initiative. You won't get to attack again until the next round.
I see. Well, that's fine. Alright. Well, she grabs out her bow. Even though it's close. It's a, easy target.
It's close. It's right there. It's not like you're immediately away from it. I would say that you wouldn't get disadvantage on that attack close range with your bow, since you're on your horse's back.
Okay, here goes.
That you did not target it. Got to target it. I know, it's been a month. There you go. That's a 27 to hit. You catch the creature and it's right between its eyes, and you just hear it go, ah! And it falls dead.
Okay, so I turn to my right and see the other warg 1. And
That is another hit as you fire your bow, striking the creature right next to its temple, between its ear and its eye, and the creature falls dead.
And I make my one more attack because it's Dread Embouchure ability, yay! And try to hit the Hobgoblin number.
Okay, go right ahead. Unfortunately, that is a miss. As you draw and pull back and fire your third arrow, your arrow just manages to, possibly from your horse sort of cantering and moving sideways, you just miss your mark.
Okay. Let's see. Alright, that's the end of my turn.
Okay. On Hobgoblin 1's turn, it's going to, seeing its companions falling, it's going to pull its longbow out, knock an arrow, and fire in your direction. You take an arrow, a black feathered black shaft arrow in the side of your shoulder, just manages to wedge itself into your soft skin, and you take 7 points of piercing damage as it sticks you right in the side of your shoulder. Guthroll, you'll forfeit your attack on this turn, since you already attacked on the horse's turn. And Eli, it is your turn. You're watching this chaotic mess as these strange woven creatures have rushed out of the tall grass from both sides of the road, and these hobgoblins are bearing down on you all.
Eli looks around. He raises his staff, kind of like Lord of the Rings style.
Okay.
And casts Fireball. Fireball!
Okay.
Whoosh! Out of the sky.
Now, tell me again, where were you, before you rolled all that damage and whatnot, where were you drawing your circle? That big 20-foot wide circle up there?
Yeah.
Okay. Just making sure. So I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if that was Gunthrill's circle or your circle.
No, that was my circle. I always try
Okay.
to prepare before my turn so the combat goes faster.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So you
He's
just
got a
watch
bigger
as
circle.
these creatures just go. There's this explosion of fire as this tree and all the shrubberies around the creatures just go up. They are ignited, and immediately this just charred blaze. And you can see now that there's a warg that is sort of hopping and skipping around in a circle. Its body is going out, the fire, its fur is being burnt off. And then the other hobgoblin, it seemed to be blasted on his ass, and he's attempting to stand up now.
I look over at Gunnie and I smile. You like that? And I'll end my turn.
Okay. Hobgoblin number 4 is going to now take his bow, pull it, and he aims for Auri's horse. But the bolt just manages to pass by and whiffs its tail and scatters off of the road. The warg, which is horribly burned, now rushes forth straight towards your horse, Lathana. And rears up and attempts to attack you. You just watch as this, just a wide maw of teeth snaps shut harmlessly inches away from you, your horse whinnying in terror. And it is your turn, Lathana. Well, we're going to pass off because you acted on the horse's turn, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's see. On Auri's turn, she is going to direct her horse to move slightly. And let's see what she's got. pulls out several seeds from her pouch on the side and blows a kiss out in the air in front of her, and then moves her hands in a circling, swirling motion, and she casts Moonbeam onto the hobgoblin, which was annoying and trying to hit her horse. And let's see. Fortunately, the hobgoblin succeeds. We'll say it also hits the warg since she made it between the two of them. It's a 5-foot wide beam of light. And the creature fails. And is very badly burnt by this beam of light that is continuing to fill up this area. This sort of ghostly flame erupts in this column of light which reaches up to the sky. And we will say that half of that damage goes on to the hobgoblin. And on Eli, on your horse's turn, you can move it.
I'm gonna stay in formation.
Gonna stay in formation?
Yeah.
Okay. On the hobgoblin devastator's turn, he stands up, points out towards the midst of all of you, and takes a bit of a mushy white substance from a pouch next to him and smushes it into his hand, and then slides his hand across it, and then stretches his hand out, and as he does, the white substance immediately ignites into a fireball.
Counterspell.
You gonna counterspell that?
Counterspell
Okay.
level 3.
Level 3?
Yep.
Alright, you still gotta roll.
Oh, okay. Higher? Is it higher than he's casting it higher?
Yep.
Oh, okay. 1 die 20. Let's go.
That's a failure, sir.
No.
Hold on. Let me read. Okay. DC is 10 plus the spell's level.
Okay.
Oh, hold on.
You still failed.
My spellbook ability. What is your spellbook ability?
What do you mean?
It says, I mean, I don't know. If it's 4th level or higher, make an ability check using the spellcasting ability. Spellcaster's ability.
Okay.
So what's that mean? We can keep the roll. I just what I don't know what bonus is. I guess I mean, would it be a 4?
Would be your spellcasting
Intelligent.
ability, wouldn't it?
Yeah, which is proficiency, or is it just straight intelligence? Bonus?
It's your spellcasting modifier, I believe, or it could be. It might just be your your
plus
spell
7 then. So
yeah,
it'd be plus 7.
You still
Yeah, yeah. No, I just wanted to see if it would,
It's okay.
If it had 7.
Hey, you know what? So
12.
the middle of the road suddenly, everyone's breath is just drawn out from your lungs in an instant. And I will, since there's so many of you, I'm gonna roll the dexterity save. The system will take care of the math for you. And I will roll the damage. So you are all... Lathana's horse is instantly vaporized, and Lathana, you go flying a few feet off of your horse. So is your horse, Eli. You go flying off of your horse. The other hobgoblin, which was menacing on the top of his warg, is dead. Guthor, your horse is hurt pretty badly. And the other warg that was menacing you, Lathana, which attempted to attack you before, it is also dead.
I rolled 19 for my concentration check, and it's still...
Okay. So just in a fiery blaze, this after you laid down a fireball on this hobgoblin devastators and his men, he just gets up and just sort of grunts and then casts fireball on all of you, wiping out one of his own men and the warg.
He's lucky any higher have been encountered.
The
one time I'm gonna use it.
On Ender's turn, Ender is going to send his horse rushing towards the hobgoblin. He then slides off of his horse next to the hobgoblin devastator, taking out his katana blade and with a roar slashes at the devastator. And then I believe he has 2 attacks, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's a level 5 fighter.
And an X pattern, first slash across the Devastator's chest, and then slashing in the opposite direction with his katana, slashes into... Oh my god, he rolled a 2 and still hit.
Dang! Holy crap.
Worth it.
It's because of the +2 sword, I think.
I do believe Ender is going to do his warrior ability of... I'm going to take another round of attacks.
Okay. Why not?
Oh yeah, his action surge.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Why not?
Yes.
Action surge, I believe, gives you 1 extra attack. I don't know if it gives you...
Yes, it does. Yeah, no, it's just 1.
That's okay. Apparently, as long as I don't roll a 1, I'll hit. And in quick succession, slash, slice, slash, and Ender lops the Devastator's head clean off his shoulders, sending it whirling through the air, arterial spray, into the tall grass behind him. And then he very quickly turns around in a 180 with his sword pointed down, arms up in an arc, ready to attack the next creature that attacks his friends.
Oh, just for information, action surge, he would get both of his...
Really?
He gets another round of action.
Interesting.
He doesn't get to move again.
Oh, I see. He gets a bonus
You
action.
can only use one... Well, you can only use 1 bonus action. You can only use 1 movement action.
It says you take 1 additional action top of your regular action and a possible bonus action. So, I'm sure I'm going to get that wrong. We'll say he'll use his bonus action to attack again and slice into the warg. YOLO. And sticks his tail, takes the creature by the tail, pulls him back, and lops its tail off. Geyser of blood squirting out the back of this creature as it falls dead, yelping in pain.
Yes, extra attack triggers on action surge is what the
Nice.
saying. Yeah, because it's a full action, you know, so it gets a bonus action, which is technically his extra attack. Interesting. I did not know. That's pretty cool for a fighter.
If you're 20
And again,
you
it's
get 5 attacks. You get 10 attacks 1 round.
Yeah, but it evens out because it's only 1 round. I mean, he only has 1 action surge per long rest.
Yes.
Yes.
I think he gets another 1 round 11 or something.
That's pretty cool, though. I gotta admit.
And while this is all going on, the other two wargs from the south rush up. The first attempts to attack you, Lithana, with its hobgoblin on its back, and manages to miss. The other one, however, unfortunately rushes forth and attacks the horse that Auri is riding on and kills her horse. It screeches in pain and then falls to the ground, knocking Auri off of its back. And Auri has already taken her turn, and so has Ender. And Eli, it is your turn. Your robes are smoking. Looking around you, you just see dead bodies on the ground. You see the horses of your friends have fallen or dead. Almost all of your friends' horses are dead. Well, maybe not all of them. Nearly half of your friends' horses are dead.
By the way, did we take fall damage for falling off the horse, or?
I'd say you took a d6 bludgeoning damage, so we'll say that you each took 3 bludgeoning damage.
Okay. Like I said, I was just curious, because I mean, if the horse died, I fly it up. So I have to take half my movement to even stand up.
No worries.
I see the warg in front of me, and I'm going to cast Torture on it.
Okay. And unfortunately, it succeeds against your ability.
It takes half damage.
Okay.
And I'm gonna look around. Holy crap! Holy crap! Holy crap! And I'm gonna end my turn right there.
Okay. On Auri's turn, Auri is on the ground, prone, looking at her horse, just tears streaming down her face. And she stands up with a determined look on her face. And she casts she just looks at the hobgoblin and the warg, and you just hear her say, "Burn." And once again, that ghostly flame rushes up between the legs of the warg, which rears back in pain as these ghostly flames are wrecking this creature. And then she starts limping back towards you, Eli. Away from her horse, wiping her face. And Ender, it is your turn. Oh, that's right, I am Ender. Ender, with a roar, I have to remember that, he is going to rush forth. Katana raised up over his head and hacks into the warg with his sword. Stepping sideways, cutting downwards, lopping off one of his ears. He then slashes again, this time an upwards cut, but skids a bit on a rock in the road and just manages to whiff past its face. He was attempting to decapitate it, but he misses. The hobgoblin Lithana now slides off of its warg and sidles up to you, taking its longsword with an evil grin on its face, slashing downwards, attempting to cut into you. You just managed to twist your body sideways, though, as its longsword dings into the ground, pulls it up again, getting ready to attack you once again. Oh, that's right, she was prone.
Yeah, because we
So
saw
that
her horse.
Yeah. Okay, I'll roll another attack. That's a hit. Lithani takes 6 damage as this sword cuts into your side. Flash! Threatening to tear open and possibly break one of your ribs. Gunthrow, it is your turn.
Raise my hands to the sky again, and another lightning bolt will strike at that location.
Okay.
I
All right, 1 succeeds, 1 fails. I believe that's half damage on the success.
Yes, I shall choose the Wrath of Destruction. I shall use one of my turning abilities and do maximum damage.
Awesome.
The ward will take, the one that failed will take 30 points of damage, and the other one will take 15.
Nice.
Oh, because you're Storm Cleric.
Yes, I am.
Nice. That's nice.
Lightning crackles, and for a moment Guthral's eyes go white as the storm cloud forms above, and a bolt of blue streaks down, impacting the ground and turning a bit of it to glass as the warg and the hobgoblin are struck full force by this lightning attack. The hobgoblin, did you want to roll the damage or no?
I can't roll it, it just does 30 points of damage.
Oh, for each of them?
The one succeed takes half full, so 15. The other one takes 30.
Okay.
Failed.
The hobgoblin is vaporized, whilst the warg is just burnt very badly. Half of its body is blackened, and there's pinkish areas where the flesh has been sizzled and seared from the lightning attack. Did you want to do anything else on your turn? Your horse is currently crying and whimpering, and it's in danger of toppling over and dropping you off of its back.
I'll slide down, but hold on to the horse and try to soothe it with my bonus action.
Okay. And you can move it as well. Its turn is actually coming up, so you can move it. Move and attack with it if you like.
I'll put it on the other side of it.
Okay. You staying on its back or just near it?
No, I'm going to stay in front of it.
Okay.
And I will end my turn.
All right. On Ender's turn, or Ender's horse's turn, Ender's horse is sort of like bouncing around in a bit of a circle, kicking its legs out, and it's just going to hold its action for now. Lathana, it is your turn. You are currently prone on the ground in front of a very pissed off looking giant wolf creature.
And I am equally pissed off at it. I grab out my double-bladed scimitar and I slash at it twice.
Would you like to stand up first?
Yes, I stand up first.
Okay. So you take your hilt out from your pack and fling it out. Both blades extend on both sides and sort of a misshapen S pattern in front of you. Striking out, you deal a critical hit on the warg as you cut into the creature and lop half of its head off. Its jaws flapping, the bottom half of its jaws flapping harmlessly with its tongue. The tongue has been bisected and is gross. It's just gore is just spraying all over the road onto the sand and dirt.
And so, with that, I spin around.
And you see the corpse of your horse.
I cry a little bit. And then I'm going to say my bow is on the ground out of reach, so I grab out one of my throwing daggers and chuck it at the warg.
Okay. That is a hit. As you very quickly reach forth, grab a dagger, and toss it in the direction of the warg, and catch it in his eye. The warg falls dead, and the hobgoblin tumbles off and falls prone. And takes one point of bludgeoning damage as he falls onto the ground now. He's attempting to stand up now with his longsword out.
Keep him alive. We need to talk to him.
Let's see. I'm gonna use the rest of my movement. I used half movement, right, to get up?
You use half of your movement to stand up, correct.
Okay. Alright, she's going to try to sprint and grapple him. So she's like mid-running.
Well, That will be on your next turn because you used your actions, so you can't sprint.
Just kidding.
That's okay. Still rushing towards him. Might be able to do it on your next turn, you never know. And is that the end of your turn? Okay. The hobgoblin lifts himself up off of the ground very quickly and rushes towards Ender with his longsword drawn. Longsword versus katana. Ender readying his sword to catch his opponent's sword with his own. The hobgoblin hacks forth at Ender. And cuts into the side of Ender's neck. And does 8 slashing damage into the side of Ender's neck. Ender reaches up to grab the sword and pushes him off of him slightly. And Eli, it is your turn. You're looking around now. You're seeing that the chaos, the dead horses, the dead wards, and hobgoblins. You can see now one combatant is left standing.
I want to cast a witch bolt on him.
Okay. You want to cast Witch Bolt?
Yep.
Okay, that is a hit. It's a 23 to hit. You reach out with your hands and make the arcane motions and the sigils and speak the words, and this eldritch lightning hits the hobgoblin, and he cries out in pain and drops his longsword as you fry him where he stands. He slumps down to his knees, smoking. And you are all out of combat, my friends.
I cure light wounds my horse.
Okay.
Well, what do we do now?
Auri quickly rushes to her horse, which is laying next to Ender. Ender is shushing her and quieting her. And you can see that she's attempting to do some sort of healing on the creature, but unfortunately it's failing. And she turns around and she looks at all of you and she says, "We did this. This is our fault."
We did nothing. They attacked us. They ambushed us. How is it that we caused? By being here? No. You're misguided, little one.
Gunthrow, as you are speaking to Auri, you are hearing another sound similar to the one that you all heard before the attack. The sound of a horn in the distance. And as you look off in the distance now to the west, to the northwest, to the southwest, you can see that the grass is starting to move yet again, being tussled and disturbed. And you can just hear the sounds of just feet trotting on earth. Just this low rumble off in the distance. It's very far away from you right now, though. It's just a dull hum. Lithana, you also hear this, as does Auri.
Does it sound like an army or large, massive?
It sounds like a lot of feet. It sounds like a dull rumble, but it's a little different. It's slightly different from what you heard before the attack by the hobgoblins. You can make a perception check.
Alright, let's move off the road.
Gunthrow, this sounds to you like hoofbeats. Like, not the same sound as before. Similar, but this sounds more like hoofbeats.
I hear horses coming. not these wargs. Maybe we should gather ourselves together. If we need to, we'll ride the 2 horses out.
The police are now getting closer, and you can see now off in the distance to the west, you can see shining armored individuals on horseback, which are rushing now. They're rushing out of the tall grass onto the road, and they're now coming straight towards you all. What would you like to do?
I mount back up on the horse.
Okay. Your horse is whinnying, no longer terrified, but clearly beat up.
Try to soothe it as best I can, but can I see any banners?
You do see that some of the individuals that are riding in formation now, 2 rows neat. You can see long pikes with like banners that are coming off of them. But it's really difficult at this distance to make out because of how the wind is blowing the banners back. You can't really make out the banners at all. The colors appear to be of a strange sort of dark gray. Like almost like a silvery dark gray.
Are they friendly? Gunnie, can you see?
Well, needless to say, they're on fresh horses and we're on foot. No matter what they are, we're going to meet.
Ah, alright.
So
Let them get closer.
you're
How
gonna.
long will it take for them to get here?
From what you can see, possibly a couple of minutes. So you all just want to stay where you're at?
So we can see the banners at distance.
Yeah, you can see them even at this distance. You can still see like the shine, the sun high up in the sky, shining off of their armor. Their armor is glinting. You just see the metallic glint of the sun off of their armor.
How far are they now? How many feet away?
Your best guess at this moment, they're approximately 250 feet away from you all.
Alright, when they get about 120 feet, I want to cast a message to the leader. Like the first one in the group, and say, "Who are you?" You can reply to this message.
Okay. So you cast your message,
Yes.
and you hear a soft voice back, human, and this man says, "I am Captain Connor Lethric of House Deneath. State your intentions. Where are you and who are you?"
I look over at Gunnie. They're from House of Neath. Deneath. Are they
Okay.
friendly? Do I know anything about House of Neath?
General knowledge of House Deneath is that House Deneath is a dragon-marked house that essentially is mercenaries for hire, guards for hire.
They're guards for hire.
Many nobles use them. Many kings and queens, leaders of nations use House Deneath to guard shipments, to guard roads, trade routes.
Yeah, what he said, it came out of my mouth.
Okay. You now see a regiment of 10 men on horseback as they ride up, armored, barded horses, as they all ride up, all carrying spears. A couple of them carrying long pikes with banners on the end of it that have this sort of a silvery gray colors. And the first man he calls up, he has sort of like a reddish brown hair, long. He pulls his helmet off and he looks around and he says, "Well, it seems you did our work for us. Huh. Well met, strangers. How are you all doing? Do you need any assistance?"
Yes, we have wounded.
Well, you have wounded. Well, we can see to that. We're headed east towards Zilspar. Did you want to ride with us? It is still a couple of days' ride ahead of us, but we could make it as quick as possible. Well, we will attempt to, at least.
Can we
Yeah,
travel faster with them or without them?
Well, that's up to you.
I think we'll travel faster with them as we have no horses.
Ah,
Other
true.
than two.
Well,
Can
since
we ride with you?
yeah, we'll ride with you, and if we've done your chore for us, maybe you could be kind enough to give us a few horses since we've lost ours to your.
Well, I can't authorize that, but at the very least, we can attempt to guide you to the next settlement, which would be Zilspar. So if it's agreeable, obviously you have wounded amongst you. We have the means to heal you up best we can. I'm sure we have a couple of healing potions. If you want to follow us, you can. We'll protect you from any potential dangers on the road on the way to Zilspar.
Sounds good to me. How do you all? Team.
I mean, yeah, it's better to ride with them, but can we? I mean, we're gonna be walking unless we ride on one. They help us, give us a lift.
I don't know what Eli's talking about. He's got a freaking flying disc in his pocket.
Oh, I know. I know.
My horse lived, so he's not riding mine. Oh, hold on. You can sit up here in front of me, Eli.
I'm good.
My horse with.
I pull out my soul sled. I'm good.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Ori, would you like to ride?
Auri stands up now, a little wobbly on her legs, and she wanders towards you and reaches up. Her face still a mask of grief, and takes your hand and allows you to pull her up onto your horse.
Okay, and then because she's the lightest, so.
Yeah, she's tiny.
And I guess Ender and Lathana can ride the second horse, and then Eli can.
Yeah, if Lathana is agreeable, Ender will hop on with her.
Sure, it beats walking.
Because Eli said he wanted to walk.
Actually, my soul sled probably goes faster.
Probably.
Eli, pull out your activation ring and put it on, and as you do, with a snap of your fingers, the source sled emerges from your ring and enlarges, and you're able to very quick, deftly hop onto it. It materializes beneath you, and as you all now fall into line with this troop of House Beneath Blades and begin heading off to the east. Did you all want to check the bodies before you leave, or no?
Yes.
Okay.
In fact, as they were talking, Lathana's rummaging through everything.
Okay.
Lathana. Sorry.
No, that's okay. Lathana, you find a couple of items on these hobgoblins. You find a little bit of gold, some silver. You also find amongst the dead Devastator, the spellcaster hobgoblin that attacked you, all with the fireball. Amongst his remains in his pack, you find what looked like it used to be a sealed pentagonal-shaped piece of paper with a seal on it, which has since been broken.
I stealthily slip that into my pack.
Okay. You can roll a sleight of hand if you like.
Okay.
I'm going to talk to the captain of the guard. So, were you chasing these hobgoblins, or what was it?
Well, we'd heard rumors, really, for a while that there have been a tribe that has been waylaying travelers on the road. But this is the first time that I've heard of or seen such a large group of them attack a heavily armed group such as yourselves. It's very unusual. Usually they attack caravans and tradesmen.
I'll wave my hand and let the clouds dissipate.
Okay. The thunderclouds all move off into the distance now and completely evaporate. Connor says to all of you. Well, if you're all ready, we can mend you on the way. We can get going. Probably best not to stay here. As he's been saying that, a couple of the Neath guards have been pulling the horses and the wargs off of the road, and the bodies, clearing them off the sides of the road. Well, send somebody back this way to get rid of this refuse. It's a shame. Those were some gorgeous beasts you had there. I assume they're yours?
Yes, they're all ours.
It's unfortunate. I grieve for your loss, sir. Well, if there's nothing else, we will away. We've got a little bit of a ride ahead of us before we get to Zilspar.
All right, lead the way.
And with that, the contingent of blades from House Deneath now marching beside you on each side of the road. They form a protective barrier north and south between your two horses, carrying Auri and Gunthral, the other carrying Lithana and Ender, and your fifth companion, Eli, floating on his green crystal sled a little bit above you as you all head off into the distance towards the east. You smell the acrid smoke, the remains of your battle, the ash, this acrid taste in your mouth, this tang of blood. And that's where we'll end for tonight.
Okay. So, yeah, Lithana, she has the ear to the ground ability, so she has some kind of network that she has information. It's the Guild of the Janitors. Because no one ever notices the janitors, right? They know all the dirty secrets. Get it? Dirty secrets.